Remember when I said that I probably wasn't going to draw as much for the second part of Artfight? Well, apparently I'm a liar, because I actually drew more this time around. In this video, I'll be speeding through all that I drew in the second portion of Artfight, as well as showing all the defences that I received. So if you're curious about the first 6 attacks, the video covering them will be linked in the description. At the end, I'll go over my battle statistics, so stay tuned. Starting off is Marina, a Cult of the Lamb OC belonging to MeanieMode. I tried out a few poses before settling on this one, and I liked how it showed just how big a hammer is. The reference image is really cartoony, and I tried to incorporate it into my more realistic style. The details such as the bow and the curls in her hair were really fun to draw, and the hammer had a really unique design. I really liked the colours as well. I know little to nothing about Cult of the Lamb, so played it safe for the scene and just placed her in a moonlit night standing over a summoning circle. I'm not too familiar with drawing anthropomorphic characters, but drawing this taught me that it wasn't as bad as I thought. Here is the final image, so much clearer than the pixelated speed paint. The second drawing was of a character owned by Purplepirate, whose name Google says is pronounced as Ceasg, based off of a salmon-themed mythological creature in Scotland. When I saw the patterns, I knew I wanted to draw them, and so zoomed in and kept them at the side as a reference. I also looked up the colours of Atlantic salmon during spawn season, as the character description says that is what the design is based off of. I tried to keep my drawing neutral in its presentation, as I was unsure of how the owner would feel if I tilted either to a more feminine or masculine direction, and didn't want to risk changing the character. I drew them underwater and added a few out-of-focus bubbles to give a more 3D feel to the drawing. Next is Vivian by Goodragooo or Goodragooo, who I decided to draw of her cat Van. Since in her description she is referred to as a silly vampire girl, I wanted to draw the two in a way so that they looked like they were having fun or getting up to mischief. I went with the two running and tried a slightly different style of drawing. I liked how the pink background in the reference looked against her design, and so opted to use a similar pink, just a little softer, as the background. To add a little fun, I drew a few swirls and added rainbow confetti and sparkles. I then drew another attack for Purplepirate. This time I decided to go all out and draw a full landscape behind the character. Over the course of Artfight, they had drawn me a few attacks, each of them amazing, and I will show them later in the video. This character here is their Selkie character. They had many reference images for her, so I had a lot to be inspired from. I liked the drawing of her on a rock using magic the most, so decided to draw something similar. I went for a scene of the sky meeting the sea in an hour of golden light, with the Kelpie in the centre. The reference for the pose had a light source from the front, whilst the lighting in my drawing came from behind, so I had to go back and fix it after I was done. This was the first version, and this is the final result. The next attack was Aim by Boshedagh. When I read the character description, I found that he was a wild child who keeps his walls up, but at his core is a deeply caring person. I decided to draw him in a little downtime where his softer side is brought out. I originally intended for him to be looking out over a city or festival, but couldn't quite get it right, so changed the background to a rooftop next to a blossoming tree instead. I went for a warm glow for the lighting with a little blue rim light from the sky above. His tattoos, while a little tricky, were actually quite pleasant to draw, and I quite like how it all turned out. I then drew C-rowws, or crow's Fursona, which is an albino big brown bat. I didn't realise that the wings were attached to her arms until later, so ignore them being in the wrong place for now. I love big brown bats and remembered that they actually have pretty sharp teeth, so I wanted to draw this character smiling to show them off. I stuck with the original outfit as I thought it looked pretty cool, and fiddled with how to draw the fur. The face and the neck had fluffy bits, so it was easier, but I don't know how people draw arms on anthro characters without making them just kind of look like skin. I added a few dashes here and there to try fix it, and it looked a little better. Overall, I put quite a few little details in this one, which you can't really see unless you zoom in, so it was just more fun for me. For the background, I went with a light pink to match the lighting, with some darker pink triangles to kind of make it look like a picture frame. Second to last is Orion by Northernwinds. At the time of drawing, there was no information about him, but I think his character description has been updated, so go check it out if you're interested. I wanted to make use of all of those wings, so went for a dynamic pose in the sky. I gave him a big smile to make the whole thing more lively. Because the wings and feet are black, I referenced images of crows for them, and couldn't help myself but go a little crazy with the subtle colours in them, as even though crows are black, their feathers are iridescent. shining blue, purple and green. I decided to make the sky blue and pink. The last character I drew was Ishii, a drow rogue belonging to Droopsnoot 145. The description mentioned a cane sword and I loved them so much so I had to add it in. I went for a mid-battle scene with the perspective of her scowling at the viewer. I drew a couple poses and thought this one was the coolest and most intense. I added a PNG when planning the composition but ended up drawing it myself. I also surrounded her with red and white smoke to add to the atmosphere. The pose was a struggle but the head and hair turned out pretty good. All in all, she's a really cool character and I aim to do her justice. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. What time is it? Statistic time! Do I know what all of this means? No. But I can guess that my battle ratio is near even because I revenged every defense, and that the majority of my attacks were avenged in turn. I contributed 719.5 points for Team Stardust. I don't know if that's a lot or not. And I made 14 attacks in total, 3 of which being friendly fire. In total, I earned 2 badges, the first one saying, "First attack, Artfight better watch out, now I'm in town. I've got an attack and I'm not afraid to use it." And the second reading 10 attacks, I'm just getting started. I have received 13 defenses, the first 3 I covered in the previous Artfight video. Let's take a look, shall we? First off are my 4 defenses from Purplepirate. They stood out as the majority of users on Artfight that I have seen have used digital art, or they've used watercolour, which is a medium that I truly adore. Not only did they draw my OCs fantastically, they also put their own spin on them while remaining true to their character. Lavinia performing just looks so good, and I'm amazed by how they managed to paint the ombre on her bodice. Her second outfit, however, is really cool as well. It's actually inspired me to design her a similar outfit for her offstage design, as I hadn't thought about it before. I also like the fiery feather and spider detail in her hair. Moving to Karma, I think how her weapons being used as a headpiece works really well. The patterns in her outfit and in the background are so intricate and pretty. The scene of my Fae lady with one of their Selkie characters' pearls is really endearing. Overall, I love them so much, and if you see this Purplepirate, thank you. Next year I'll make time to draw whatever characters you have. Whether we're on the same team or not, you are not safe from me. My next defense was a drawing of Karma by Goodragooo. The pose is great, and the dots on her snake tail as scales look really nice. I like the pattern in the background, and how it frames her. It's like a flower, but like made of hearts. Now a drawing of My Lady by Boshedagh, who drew a whole setting. She captured the character so well and it all looks amazing. I like how the scene is dark but vibrant, and the nonchalantly playing with the smaller being just fits. You can really get a sense of scale in this piece. Another drawing of her, this time by Crow, who made her look really cool and mysterious, with her eye peeking out from her wings. They drew her in a more animalistic form, which I do like, as I imagine she would take a similar form to fly around the forest and watch those who pass through. Now here's one of Oscar by Northernwinds, who drew him casting a spell. The pose creates anticipation, like it's the second before the pin drops, and I'm curious as to what that will be. I also really like how the hair was drawn. Revenge by MeanieMode, who drew Karma. This art style is really cool, and I like how Karma was drawn with it. Her expression is sweet, and I like how it contrasts her slit eyes and the fangs poking out from her lips. And finally, Lavinia by Droopsnoot 145. They included her flaming whip, which wraps around her beautifully. That and the deep red of the background frame her nicely. The slight curve of the nails, the fangs and eyes make her vampiric nature clear, and I adore how her hair and outfit was drawn. Thank you everyone who drew me an attack this year, I'm immensely grateful. I joined Artfight for the first time this year because I wanted to improve my digital art. Nothing makes someone with ADHD progress more than anxiety, and I knew that I would be mildly stressed over every single attack I made because it was for someone else. Now my confidence has slightly improved, with drawing characters and with talking in a YouTube video. I hope that I hold on to it and I'm able to do more in the future. I'm thinking of trying new things, maybe putting it into a series, who knows. So if you're interested in coming along with my journey, subscribe. That's all from me. Have a good day everyone, and goodbye.